everyone. My name is David Hiut, and this is the Do One Thing Well podcast. Best way to think about this is a piece of research to help you understand why some brands, some businesses, some people, go to the next level. And the essence is to try and find out what their secret sauce is. So maybe we can, take some of that and put it into our own business, our own brands, and even our own lives. And this one was an interesting one because this followed a conversation with my eldest daughter, and I was saying to her, maybe one day I could buy her some nicer luggage because the stuff that she was carrying at the time wasn't that great. And she said, well, there's only one to get. I'm going, wow, I thought there was more luggage available than just one. And she said, no, there's only one, and it's this one. And this is the one we're talking about today. So they've done something incredibly well, and I thought that was really interesting to try and unpack what is it they've actually done. So the company, and I think you pronounce it with a V because it's a German company from Cologne, and it's Rimowa. And I thought that was really, an interesting story. And I've loved actually doing the research on it because I found out so much about it. So, as is our way, is we do the key takeaways at the beginning. And so the thing I learned about this piece of research is the importance of quality and design, but it's also the importance of quality and design from the outset. And so, when you're starting something, is what is your intention? Because the intention goes throughout the history of the company. And I think that's really true in this case. I learned the importance of innovation and their desire to be first has been throughout their history, and to take the humble suitcase and make it extraordinary. So their quest to never stand still is something I've taken on board. So they had, obviously a couple of turning points. I think one of the major ones was in 1950 when they came up with a unique design of a suitcase, which has become their iconic look. So I think that was a key turning point. But also, and that was in 1950, but in 2016, LVMH took an 80% stake in them. And sometimes when companies take over other brands, it doesn't end well. They kind of make that brand worse. But LVMH are world class at what they do. They take brands and make them absolutely world class. They are amongst the best in the world at what they do. And they have an incredible portfolio of brands that they are guardians of, and they invest in. And they do an amazing job. One of the things I've learned, by doing all these things is, as much as maybe I beat up on Instagram, because they're sort of messing Instagram up, but how important Instagram has been for all of these brands, and maybe because they're quite photographic, or they have a great piece of design, and Instagram lends, is an incredible tool for them because it lends to their look. But it's on another level more important than any other social media for them. And I think that might be because of the collaborations that they've had. So they've had high status collaborations with brands that are also massive on Instagram. So maybe that's not that surprising, but I think they've done a really good job. So, okay, let's get into it. So the backstory is this: it was started by Paul Mosaic. It was started in 1898, and the original thing, I think they were saddlers, and they started making suitcases, but they made high quality, world-class suitcases out of wood from the very beginning. So the starting time, 1898, that's a key moment, obviously. But then in 1931, Richard Mosaic came into the company, and he he was the one who actually came up with the name Rimowa, because up until then it was called Gauze Mosaic. And the trademark was really an acronym of his first two names, Richard Mosaic, but also, which I quite like, is quite funny. He also used the word Varazeichen, which is the German for trademark. So it was his first two names plus the word trademark, and that's what he trademarked as Rimowa, as we now know it. So I thought that was quite interesting. So they started making under Richard's guidance, they first made their first aluminium case in 1937, and that was the start of them becoming like an iconic brand. But really, what happened in 1950 was the most significant, and that was when they came up with the grooved aluminium suitcase, and this became almost a classic icon from the day one. And it's interesting, like every great piece of design has a really amazing source, and this was like the 1919 Junkers F-13, and it's an incredible piece of design. It was the world's first all metal aircraft, designed by Hugo Junkers, who was a big proponent of the Bauhaus movement. So it's a beautiful thing, and I think they used it as a source of inspiration. Well, if it can work for airplanes, it could probably work for luggage. And this has become their signature, their design language, as it were. But it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, and maybe the thing we should learn from this is, like, what have you seen from another industry that you could bring to your own? So never standing still is really important to them. And patents, this number may not be 100% accurate. This is what I can find. And I counted up by hand. Between 58 and 62 patents globally, and it may be more. I don't think it's less, but so they want to make luggage, but they want to bring ideas to luggage, and so innovation is part of their DNA. Now, if we look at this in 1976, it's the first waterproof trunk, and they were made for film crews and photographers, so they were waterproof, and that was important to them, and so they could store their cameras safely. So they were designed, they were purpose built for that niche. So I thought that was really interesting. So it was not them trying to be really cool. It was trying to answer an unmet need for this group of people. And then in 2001, they came up with a multi-wheel system. It was the first patent in 2001. And essentially what that did was allow you to turn the suitcase 360 degrees. And with all their wheels is they can, if they break, you can just, go and get another one and put it on. So it's removable. But they were the first to do this, and actually they've licensed out some of this technology to other people. So I thought that was kind of really interesting. And then in 2000, actually, they came up with the polycarbonate suitcase, and again, a world's first. So that's a common theme, isn't it? World's first. And so this was lighter, more durable, and probably cheaper to make as well. So so they've had to go and defend their patents, and there's always going to be people who copy you, especially when you are getting worldwide acclaim. And I think they've taken one company to court in Taiwan. I think the decision went in their favor. I think they're still going through now the Supreme Court to go and get that decision ratified. So that's the thing. If you're going to go and get patents, you at some point will have to go and enforce them. So I think this was, one of the key, moments, and so in the family, there's been Paul Mosaic, Richard Mosaic, and today, Dieter Mosaic, who's also, been responsible for lots and lots of the patents, and he's probably been responsible for, the really high-tech nature of, how they make things, which is actually really deeply impressive, and it's been one of my surprise takeaways from this. So, but this, in 2016, LVMH, decided that they would take an 80% stake in Rimowa, and actually it was because of this young, quite inspirational person, actually, and his name is Alexander Arnault, and he's the son of Bernard Arnault, who owns LVMH. So, but the apple obviously doesn't fall far from the tree, in as much as he was using this luggage before they bought it, and he brought it, to his dad's attention. And even though, lots of their brands make luggage, he was using something else, which, got his dad's attention. And so he was a big fan of this company. I mean, he was a customer of this company. And one of the things that actually really impressed, the dad, was there are more than 200 service centers to repair, the suitcases in the Dorchester Hotel or the Four Seasons Hotel. They run repairs to a suitcase if it lets you down while you're traveling. And for LVMH, service is a big part of actually creating a luxury brand. But so not only did Alexander bring it to his dad's attention, but he went in as CEO into the company, and he really guided it in a visionary way. Like they always made the highest quality suitcases in the world, but they were rarely, if ever, the coolest luggage maker in the world. And I think that's what Alexandra's vision for this company really did. And actually, this was a big turning point. He was a big turning point in their history, that's no doubt. And so what he did was he skewed it towards modern culture, and he started doing collabs with like high status brands, like like Supreme, Virgil Abloh, bless him, and Dior and Porsche, and really incredible brands. And so LVMH, you got to understand, they're in control of 76 brands, and they break it down into 60 different divisions, and that's how they focus on that particular brand, because they have guardians in little cells, like responsible for each brand. And obviously this was a big purchase for them. This was like I think 640 million euros. This is their one of their biggest they've made in a long while, and it was the first a German subsidiary that they'd ever done. So it was really obviously important. So dropping the son into the company as CEO meant that actually it was really important to them. And I think he did an incredible job. And all the the collaborations have been high status, and that's what happens when you become a global brand, is you're able to go and work with some of the LeBron James and all these incredible world famous people to do collaborations, because they were probably already using the luggage, because the high quality innovative design, a great aesthetic, and so that just went like sort of success begets success. So I think that really put them on the map. And if you look at the Instagram scores in a bit, you can see all these people are massive on Instagram, and therefore suddenly so was Rimowa. So I thought this was interesting because I didn't really get this before. And they employ 3,000 people. There's about 100 different processes to making a suitcase. But what I didn't understand was how high tech it was and how important, like, obviously they're handmade, but they're also using robots for the really, the shaping of the metal. And it's a beautiful thing. And this film actually captures that, and that's the 360 multi-wheel. They're famous for their locks as well, that just like snap open when you want them, but stay safe when you want them locked. But it was almost a celebration of aluminium, and I kind of like that. It really is quite a beautiful thing. So the other thing I kind of found interesting is people love putting stickers on luggage. Where I've been, like funny sayings, and actually Rimowa have actually embraced that. And if you go on Pinterest, there's hundreds and hundreds of suitcases with different stickers on. So actually, as a company, even though they're world iconic brand, they love stickers, as do Apple. Apple still ship every laptop with a sticker. So stickers are an important part of their culture. So I thought this was a really beautiful shot. So you're looking at the future, then they've been updating their logo, and they've modernized it, and I think it actually is it's more beautiful than it was. And their monogram is like sort of it's a nod to the twin cathedrals in Cologne. So I think LVMH have done a really good job. I mean, they the brands that under their guardianship are Moet, Champagne, Hennessy. Do you mean Celine? Stella McCartney. I mean, like Louis Vuitton. I mean, all these incredible companies, and I think they've done a really good job with Rimowa. So really, fair dues to them. So yeah, this is where you can see that actually, wow, Instagram is so much more important than anything else. I mean, again, I can't get on Facebook, so I don't really know how big and active they're on there. But my guess is not so much, and because they're a visual company and who they collaborate with, Instagram is far more important than anything else. But I think what you'll probably see is TikTok rise and rise and rise, because that's also a visual platform, and I think that will become much more important for them in the future. So in the future, I mean, Alexandra now is CEO of Tiffany's, so he's no longer there. They've got somebody else. But I imagine the future will be more customization. And I think they'll broaden out, just not just from luggage, but to what else could they do in terms of travel. So I think that might be a big part of their future. They employ 3,000 people. The data, and this is probably out of date data, but they make 5,000 suitcases a day. They continue to apply for patents, and they make in Germany now, the Czech Republic, and indeed in Canada. So I think they've done an incredible job. I think it was their intention from the beginning was to be super high quality, great design, and to be innovative. And that actually has been accelerated by LVMH's involvement. So LVMH are world-class brand builders, there's no doubt. And they've actually taken this brand and they've probably improved the quality, but they've also included and improved desire. this is one of the most desirable suitcases now in the world. So when my eldest daughter says to me, if I could ever buy a suitcase, well, there's only one. That statement tells you what a good job they've all done. And so, as I kind of conclude in this, podcast and YouTube, is there's always many things to doing one thing well. It's never just one thing. It's all those component parts. And the truth is always the truth is, you have to do everything well. Like, you have to be world class at every one of those component parts in order to do one thing well. And the only thing that matters is kind of everything. So I enjoyed this. It was something, it kind of revealed some bits that I really didn't know. I didn't understand that they had 3 factories. I didn't know the history of it. I didn't know LVMH owned it. I kind of didn't know all those things. I didn't know how they created all these, they created the suitcase that could go around in 360 degrees, because that's actually what we want. The first waterproof, first polycarbonate one. And I didn't know about the Hugo Junkers thing. So all these things were really, interesting to me. So I enjoyed this. It was really interesting. So that's good. So yeah, say I got 1 like for my previous one. I'm hoping today I'm gonna double up and get 2 likes. And but I'm gonna continue to do these things because I'm actually learning. So I hope you find it useful too. So go and check out Hiut Denim as well, because we do one thing well. We make the best jeans in the world. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.